Good afternoon, everyone. So this is our first meeting of Subcommittee number 3. If you've looked at the docket, we have done most of our bills today are related to the alcohol, and then next week we'll be dealing with the bills related to gambling. Just so if anybody has any question about what we're doing today. We first need to take roll of the sub. So would everyone please mark their presence? And we have a quorum. So we're going to start with, because Delegate Wampler has to be somewhere else shortly, we're going to start with Delegate Wampler's Bill 2336.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. I have House Bill 2336. This bill deals with lowering the license fee on a certain type of ABC license called a marketplace license. These are used traditionally by spas, some seasonal providers of certain services across the state. And what this bill does is simply take the fee down from $1,000 to $500 if the license holder is only in the privileges are only exercised in a period for less than 6 months. So again, for a temporary license of this type, this would reduce the fee on those type of license holder. Additionally, the bill also decreases the fee for a marketplace license from the local level from $200 to $100. It's a pretty simple bill. If the committee has any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
All right, I'm not seeing any questions from anyone on the committee. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak to this bill? Anyone in this audience who wants to speak against the bill? All right, committee, we act on motion. All right, it's been moved to report and seconded. Will clerk open the roll? Delegate Wampler, 2336 passes on an 8-0 vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Would you care to do your second bill?
The next bill I have is House Bill 2419. This is a bill that kind of stems from our overhaul of the charitable gaming rules that we put in place last year. I declined to vote favorably on the bill last year because I was worried that this may happen, but we had an entity in Southwest Virginia, the birthplace of country music museum, that runs a very substantial raffle in part to help fundraise for their big music festival in Southwest Virginia called Rhythm and Roots. And we love that festival, and we love the folks at the Bristol Museum, and we want them to continue to be able to operate their raffle so that we can continue to host our annual music festival, which is in September of the year. This bill simply provides an exception for museums who have been in existence and have been operated solely and exclusively for educational and community and economic development purposes. And so with this, if this bill passes, this would allow them to continue their operation as has been in the past. And so that's the bill, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Delegate Knight.
Delegate Wampler, you and I had a little sidebar conversation on this, and we know what you want to do. It may be a little bit broad. I would like to recommend reporting the bill out of subcommittee, knowing that we may narrow the scope to greater flesh out this museum. So I just want to kind of put you on notice on that.
Understood. Thank you.
Is there anyone? Delegate Kresik.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, I'd like to echo what Chairman just said. I'm concerned that it opens it up too broadly, and like you who didn't vote for the bill last year, I won't probably be voting for your bill this year. But I think we can fix it a little bit, perhaps. But I wanted to ask you a question, if it's okay, Madam Chair.
Delegate Kresik.
Thank you. Has the Bristol Museum been turned down for a raffle by VDAX, the regulatory agency, in any case?
Not at this point. However, they would be operating, I think, outside of the scope of the law that we passed last year if we don't codify an exception for them. And so, not to my knowledge. However, some folks from the museum are here, and it may be more appropriate for them to answer.
Madam Chair, follow up.
Delegate Kresik.
And I appreciate that, and it would be good to hear from them. And I do like that museum. I did visit when I was down there. Is there, could we hear from VDAX, though, to answer that question, would it be changed? Because I know that the regulations are being promulgated at the end of this month, and maybe they can speak to that.
Madam Chair, members of the committee. Delegate Creasy, what was your specific question?
My question is this bill necessary? Because are they going to be would they be turned down under the new laws or the new regulations that will be promulgated at the end of the month?
Madam Chair, Mike Menifee with VDAX. The regulations won't have any effect on whether or not an organization obtains a permit in this situation. What it comes down to is whether the organization is eligible to obtain a permit under the definition of organization. Certainly when the birthplace of country music renewed their application after the law change, certainly they qualified under the existing definition. So, does that answer your question, Madam Chair?
Thank you.
Any other questions from members of the committee? Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak in favor of the bill?
My name is Leah Ross. I'm the Executive Director of Advancement for the Birthplace of Country Music. And the raffle that we do is one of our largest fundraisers that we do for the museum and our organization. We are a 501c3 organization operating in downtown Bristol, and we think that we have a great economic impact. This raffle would be, if we don't get it, it would be hard on us. But I think that if you all will really study this, you'll see the opportunity to help an organization out in Southwest Virginia and look at it very strongly. We do have the museum. We also operate Bristol Rhythm and Roots Reunion, the second weekend in September. So any of you that have not been there, we would invite you to our museum and to visit our festival and have fun.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak against the bill? All right.
Second.
All right. It's been moved to report and seconded with the understanding that you're going to narrow it down before we get to full.
Thank you, Madam
Right?
Chair.
All right, committee, cast your votes. All right. Delegate Wampler, bill passes on a 7-1 vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Berg.
All right, the next bill we're going to hear is Delegate Bennett Parker's House Bill 1730. Is she here? Yeah, there she is.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the subcommittee, or Chairwoman, sorry. I have an amendment to offer that's the result of peace in the valley amongst ABC staff and stakeholders.
Okay. Actually, is this a substitute or?
Yes,
Okay.
substitute.
Yes, Madam Chair, the substitute is posted online.
All right. Well, you want to tell us what your substitute does, and then we can.
Sure, I think it would be helpful to do that in the context of the bill, if that's okay. As you know, restaurants and other businesses are facing serious staffing shortages. Currently, Virginia code states that restaurants can't hire anyone who's ever had a felony conviction to serve or handle alcohol without going through a long waiver process, or the restaurant risks losing their ABC license. This restriction and risk similarly applies to the hiring practices of wholesalers. With the amendment, the bill removes that blanket prohibition and allows ABC licensees to hire individuals with felony convictions after 2 years. So the distinction between the introduced bill and the amendment is the addition of a 2-year waiting period. Businesses need more tools to address staffing shortages. They should be allowed to interview candidates and make the hiring decisions that are right for their businesses. In some cases, these potential employees are already working for the business. We've heard from restaurants who want to promote existing staff who are working as busboys and are frustrated by the current restriction. The bill is, of course, permissive. The businesses retain their right to use their discretion in hiring or not hiring employees, and they take on any potential liability. This bill just gives them more flexibility at a time of severe staffing shortages. So I hope it's the will of the subcommittee to support the bill and help remove barriers on small businesses.
Thank you. So do we have a motion to move the committee substitute? All right. Any members of the committee have any questions? Oh, we need to vote on the substitute. All those in favor of the substitute say aye. Any opposed? Now, do any members of the committee have a question? Delegate Kresick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate, so do you think this will be helpful to restaurants in your district to attract staff?
Absolutely. It was brought to me by a restaurant in my district. I know a restaurant other folks may be here to testify, and I also have a former delegate and restaurant owner, Rob Kopika, I believe, is on Zoom to testify and support as well.
Delegate Knight.
I was talking with the chairman of the committee earlier, and I think he may have expressed some concerns to you about what if someone's working here and they've got a felony conviction of putting a date rape drug in someone's drink or something like that, and that happens to be the felon, and I know we can kind of cherry pick some of this stuff, and I really want to help business, but, he brought some questions up to me, and I know he's not here on the panel anymore, but I thought I ought to echo the chairman of the committee's concerns for this.
Thank you. We did raise that. Thank you. I heard those concerns yesterday, and so we did reach out to DLS, and I believe we have some potential line amendments that could be offered if that was the will of the committee.
Are those ready to be presented, or?
Yes.
We'll turn it over to Ashley. I have a question while she's looking. The 2-year waiting period, what is that from the time of conviction, time served, finished with parole? What is that time frame on the 2-year waiting period?
If the offense occurred more than 2 years preceding the date of employment.
If the event?
The offense. The offense,
okay. So I have a follow-up question to that. And I talked to you about this yesterday, is that a felony or any crime involving moral turpitude. So I didn't know what that was. I'm not an attorney, so I looked up moral turpitude online, and it basically included everything. There was from murder, everything bad, murder, rape, it was the whole list of things. And I expressed to you that was my concern, is narrowing that down, especially now that you're saying it's possibly 2 years from the time of the offense. So do any of your amendments address my concerns?
I think they address the other concerns that you and I discussed. I think, again, I would say this is sort of discretionary to businesses. Certainly, they have the ability to review someone's record and decide whether or not to hire them. This is just trying to address the current situation and make sure they have flexibility in employees from which they can hire.
Yes, Madam Chair. And these line amendments are not online, but if the committee decides to adopt them, it would be drawn to this substitute, which is posted online. So at line 103 of the substitute, after the word felony, you would insert comma, except as provided in subsection C, comma, and then after line 106, it would be a new subsection C that says, notwithstanding the provisions of subdivision A1H, and with respect to the employment of any person who has been convicted in any court of the adulteration of any food, drink, or other product in violation of section 18.2-54.2, a licensee may apply to the authority for approval of such employment.
All right. Does anyone want to respond to the amendments? Or yes, Delegate from Van Fulton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ashley, could you just explain the front part of that amendment? So on line 103.
Oh, yes, Madam Chair, Delegate Van Valkenburg. The amendment on line 103 would mean that the general rule that is on lines 102 through 106 would be the case, except for this what we're pulling out of that general rule, so except for what is now going to be in the new subsection C, which is what I read, that deals with the adulteration of any food, drink, or other product in violation of 18.2-54.2. So for anyone that has been convicted of the crime of adulteration of any food, drink, or other product, which is a Class 3 felony, those persons cannot simply be hired by the licensee in accordance with subsection B. The licensee would have to apply to the authority for approval of that person's employment.
Thank you, Ashley. Delegate Falkenberg, does that satisfy your concerns? I need a motion to accept the amendments. Okay, so all those in favor of the amendment say aye. Anyone opposed? All right, so is there anyone else on the committee who has questions? All right, is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak in favor of this bill?
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Tom Lisk, representing the Virginia Restaurant, Lodging, and Travel Association. And we thank Delegate Bennett Parker for bringing this bill. Staffing has been a real challenge for the restaurant industry, the hotel industry, since COVID. People are just not coming back. Many restaurants have to cut back on their days of operation, their hours of operation, simply because of the inability to find staffing. With that said, restaurants and hotels will still be very careful about who they employ. If someone looks like they could be a risk to their customers, it would be foolhardy for any business to try to employ that person, notwithstanding this legislation. So it just allows the restaurants, the hotels, the opportunity for some flexibility to look at an individual, look at their criminal history, and decide whether the business is confident that this person can be a productive employee and employ them or not. So we would support this measure. Certainly happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions of Mr. Lisk?
Madam Chair, Committee, thank you for hearing me today. My name's Sarah White. I run a small group of restaurants in Northern Virginia, including in Delegate Bennett Parker's district, and I can tell you this bill would make a huge difference to us. Hiring has been difficult. I think that we all know that, but that's not the only thing. If you've eaten in a restaurant lately, you've probably seen that we're short-staffed, but you've seen everybody's still friendly and hospitable. We're a hospitality industry, but we're a great second-chance employer. We're a great place for people to go that need that second chance. I've been in the business for 20 years. I see all of the people that we hire and look over all of it, and I can tell you that my people are smart, our restaurant people are smart. I'm in VRLTA as well, and we will be careful about who we're hiring, but we do think that they need that chance, and we do need the employees. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. White. Mr. Krupika. Oops, I'm sorry, hang on for 1 second.
Madam Chair, Phil Boykin with the Virginia Beer Wholesalers Association. We want to thank Delegate Elizabeth Bennett Parker for coming forward with this. She reached out to us this summer, and we worked with her on the amendments. And again, wholesalers, warehouse jobs, they're really not interfacing with the public, but these are individuals that would be great second chance jobs and living wages and so forth. And so we applaud her and look forward to hopefully working with her on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Krupika.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you so much for giving me a chance to speak. I have a small restaurant that I just opened in the last couple weeks here in Alexandria, Virginia. We opened about 2 months late, and we didn't open late because of construction issues or permitting issues. We opened late because we couldn't hire anyone. It was really difficult and continues to be really difficult to find staff. We're a small restaurant, and as a result, my staff have to do everything. They make drinks, they serve, they host, they do the whole They bus, they do the whole gamut of jobs. And that means this opening up this class of employees for us is potentially a real chance for us to serve more customers. Right now, we're only operating 3 days a week because of staffing shortages. We'd like to go to 5 and beyond. And I really appreciate Delegate Bennett Parker for bringing this forward. We're in the service industry, and just to echo what everyone already said, we care a lot about the quality of service we provide, so we're going to be really careful about who we hire. We're not looking at this as some kind of easy path to employees, but it's another option for us. And having another option is really valuable with unemployment so low.
Thank you. Is there anyone else online? Is that the only person we have?
The only person, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak or is opposed to this bill? All right. Committee, we act on a motion?
Madam Chair, before you have a motion,
Okay.
and maybe I can direct this question to council and Delegate Campbell may know this answer too. Could you have a situation where you have a felony that's not a crime involving moral turpitude? No.
Madam Chair and Delegate Kriesig, with all due respect, there is a reason why I do not staff courts. I am not sure.
That's why, Madam Chair, that's why I threw in Delegate Campbell.
I don't believe so, Delegate Kriesig.
Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I might also, Delegate Bennett Parker, this is directed at you, but anybody from the Restaurant Association certainly can answer this. I heard the term second chance, and I know, practically speaking, having practiced criminal law for 23 years, a lot of my clients and former clients are employed in the restaurant industry. It is a second chance employer. Concern I've got, and I think I've spoken with you about it, is the way your bill's drafted, it allows for employment in this realm within 2 years of the date of the offense. Many of these individuals are still going to be on probation. And a lot of them will be subject to special terms and conditions of probation, which may include a prohibition against possessing alcohol. My concern is, do we create a situation where we're setting a lot of people up for failure by getting promoted within the job, exposing them to having to handle alcohol, and all of a sudden, particularly the ones that have an alcohol history, DUI, third offense, and more even, are we setting them up to where ultimately we have a lot of violations from this cast of people? So, I'd appreciate just hearing your practical experience on that.
I would absolutely love to answer that question. Thank you for it. So I do have people in my restaurants that have had alcohol issues in the past. And I can tell you that that's one thing that we sit down and discuss with them. We have a one-on-one conversation repeatedly for months to make sure that they feel comfortable that they can do the things that they need to do. And we also ensure that they're not breaking any laws, that they are not going against anything that might have been written for them by the courts. So we are very careful and very amenable to making sure that those people have the help that they need, and we watch them closely. We keep in touch with them. One particular guy came to me and said, hey, I need to go to rehab, when we didn't even know he had a problem, and he has no criminal history, let me say that, so it doesn't exactly fit. But we have continued to talk to him every month and say, hey, you're still feeling good. Hey, everything's still great. And I got to tell you, 2 years later, he's one of my best managers. He's a great, great bar manager at the moment and is doing a wonderful job. So we do keep in touch with people in that situation.
Delegate Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate that response very much. And while I can certainly extend my appreciation for your being very responsible as an employer and ensuring, that your employees aren't put into an awkward position or something that might set them up for failure. I'm really concerned that the industry as a whole is not necessarily going to act very responsibly accordingly. Madam Chair, because of those concerns, respectfully, I would move to lay the bill on the table gently, and I would avow to work with Delegate Bennett Parker in the off season to try to make this a little better and ensure that we don't set people up for failure.
All right, the motion has been made to gently lay this on the table with a commitment to work with you on making sure we cover some of the concerns that have been expressed. It's been seconded. So that is a vote. It's not debatable. All right. So we've gently laid this on the table on a vote of 5-3.
Thank you.
Thank you. Delegate Scott.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. House Bill 1866 is an ABC licensure reinstatement bill. Over the past few years, dealing with COVID and the ramifications of some of the mandates and some of the issues that and things that we've had to endure as a community, it was discovered there is an issue with code where an ABC license can be automatically suspended or revoked if a Department of Health license is suspended or revoked for a restaurant or another establishment. And then once that health department license is reinstated, then the owner operator has to go through this process to get their ABC license reinstated. And so this bill simply puts an automatic reinstatement mechanism in there that if the ABC license was suspended and it's a direct relation to a health department violation and not an alcohol violation, then it will be automatically reinstated once that Department of Health issue has been corrected and that Department of Health license has been reinstated. And just ask to be with the will of the committee to recommend reporting.
Delegate Knight.
Delegate Scott, you and I talked there, and I understand exactly what you're trying to do. And I think ABC would like maybe a little bit more narrow. So I'd like to add an amendment on line 13 that says after the word "do," put the word "solely" in there. So it said, if the board suspends or revokes the license of a retail establishment due solely to the fact that it's food establishment for so on. And I would hope you'd view that as a friendly amendment.
Yes, sir. Yes, Madam Chair, I would view that as a friendly amendment.
And I'd move that amendment.
Thank you. All those in favor of the amendment say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Any other questions from the committee?
Yeah,
Delegate
now that
Friesen.
thank you, Madam Chair. Now that we have this change, can we discuss that, what exactly that does? Because on its face, I was concerned about this bill. If you have a rat in the kitchen or whatever, and the health department, cites you for violations and takes your license, then automatically they contact ABC, and ABC takes their license away from you too. And then if you get rid of the rats, the health department comes back and gives you the all clear, and they reinstate your license. My understanding is ABC, the process is not very arduous and not difficult at all. It can be done very quickly. So my concern is I don't really see a problem or an issue. I don't understand what you're trying to fix when that's the process. And I hate to also, Madam Chair, take away from ABC that discretion and power that they have, because you never know. In that meantime, you may be getting rid of the rats and everything, but other things may happen. And so you've got to, you've now made it so that as soon as you fix the health problem, it's automatic, and all the ABC issues that may have manifested themselves in the meantime are ignored, and they would have to just automatically give you the green light. So I would like to hear maybe from ABC a little bit about this, but that's my concern. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair, may I respond?
Yes, sir.
Again, the way this is drafted, Madam Chair, is if this is solely a health department issue, so if there's a rat and there's no alcohol issue whatsoever related to this, if the health department goes in there and there are alcohol-related issues, that would not trigger this. So this would be specifically to an issue related to a health department suspension or revocation of a license, and then once that issue is corrected, and again, it has that, barring that any other issues are evident that would be related to and any ABC issues. And so that's the bill is specifically addressing health department related issues.
Delegate Kriesek, do you want to still hear from someone from ABC in this issue?
If you don't mind, Madam Chair, I'm still concerned. I understand where you're going. I kind of am halfway there. Thank you.
There we go. Good morning, afternoon, I guess. It's a long day. Madam Chair, members of the committee, John Daniel for Virginia ABC. Delegate Kriesek, I think we had an initial concern about what the breadth of this may be. If it's simply the rats in the kitchen problem, and now with the word solely, meaning it's just for that health department offense, I think we're much more comfortable that it wouldn't be read in a broader sense, so that it reached further down the road and had us reinstate, based on a health department reinstatement, even when there were ABC violations. So I think the amendment that the patron and Delegate Knight have worked out is helpful for us on the measure. So,
Delegate Van Valkenburg.
Thank you, Madam Chair. John, don't go anywhere.
good morning.
So just to follow up on that.
Yes.
So what are you saying that this codifies essentially what already happens?
Yeah, I mean, if so, health department comes in, there's an issue, they suspend the health department license. They notify us, we suspend because it's a condition precedent to have a restaurant. So without that, you can't have the ABC license. If, the diligence of the restaurant owner or the bar owner or the licensee is they address the health department issues right away, there's no ensuing continuing to operate without a license, serving, then there's really not an issue. And we can do that and reinstate fairly promptly. I mean, it's, this technology world, it's a matter of moving some buttons around.
All right, is there any other questions from members of the committee? Does anyone want to speak in favor of the bill? Anyone want to speak opposed, that there be opposed to the bill? There's no one online to speak to it.
I'll move to report as amended. Was there a second?
Yes. All right. So we'll cast a vote. All right, Delegate Scott, your bill passes out on a 5-3 vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the subcommittee.
Thank you. Delegate Glass.
Good to go? Okay. Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, I'm here to present to you House Bill 2053, the Protect Virginia Grant Fund, which is designed to fund security enhancement for ABC licensed establishments. Before I go into the specifics of the bill, I want to talk a bit about the situation, the precipice of this, which was happening in my district. So Norfolk, like many other police departments, is currently facing 209 vacancies within that department, resulting in an increased crime directly tied to our ability to collect evidence and witnesses necessarily to achieve guilty verdicts in courtrooms. Recent discussions by our city council really circled around the increased spending of technology as a force multiplier. At the same time, because the locality actually lacks the police officers adequately to patrol many of these ABC licensed places, that they've had to crack down and do other violations against bars and restaurants, and strongly encourage them to do just that, invest in new security measures. So I find that situation somewhat backwards, and believe that when the government funds for public safety that when government funds for public safety go unspent due to staffing issues by said government, that we have an opportunity to take a portion of those funds and make sure that they stay in public safety. So the bill will accomplish that by allocating 10% of payroll savings from employee vacancies and agencies within the Secretariat of Public Safety and Homeland Security to grant a program designed to fund security improvements at ABC licensed establishments. I want to underscore these are unexecuted funds. We limit the recipients of these grants to entities with ABC license, as at least in our spaces, these are the places with the greatest need for issues due to lack of police, due to police shortages. And so our intention, again, for this is to primarily be used for video surveillance systems to ensure audiovisual evidence of crimes is always available for police to use, aiding in prosecutions, and again, to keep public safety funds in public safety.
Thank you, Delegate Glass. Any members of the committee have questions for Delegate Glass? Delegate Campbell.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Delegate Glass, let me ask you, do you have any idea historically how much money we're talking about here that is saved if this bill were to pass? I
Okay,
mean,
so what we did get was there's an estimated, that 10% is estimated about $250,000 that could go into the grant fund. But again, that money is only available so much as we don't have, so much as that we have staffing shortages in those particular spaces.
right, okay. And $250,000 a year then?
That's what the fiscal impact statement that we got from for this. Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, Madam Chair.
Members of the committee? All right. Anyone in the audience who wants to speak in favor of this bill? Anyone in the audience who is opposed to this bill? All right.
Chair,
Dr.
I would like
Creasy.
to make a motion. Move the report.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. This bill needs to go up to appropriations. Can you adjust your motion?
Move to report and refer to appropriations, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to make just a quick comment here. Delegate Glass and I had a conversation yesterday, and one of the things I really hate is one more fund put into the code. But I like the fact that she has found a funding source to go into this particular fund. So, Delegate Glass, I'll probably vote in favor of your bill. All right. So all those in, we cast our vote. And your bill passes, and we'll be going to appropriations on a 7-1 vote. Thank you, Delegate Glass.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
All right. So now I think all the other bills except for, you're up. Delegate Subramanian.
Give me one moment.
That's House Bill 2351.
Great. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. So this is a pretty straightforward bill. It would increase the amount of compensation paid to licensed sales agents of Virginia lottery tickets. Think like your local gas station or anyone that sells lottery tickets. We're bumping their share from 5% to 6%. The reasoning behind this is we haven't really changed this rate since 1988. We pay out one of the lowest commission rates among all of our neighbors. And, these businesses have taken a pretty big hit. And so I'm trying to figure out ways that we can help them. And, another thing to think about is, a lot of these are actually small business owners that own these entities. And, if they start going under and having to sell, you end up with a situation where, one or two companies own, all of the, let's say, gas stations, and then you end up with a less competitive environment. And so just something to think about. But, I want to at least start the conversation here. Maybe 6% isn't the right number. Maybe we can come back in another session and in the meantime find a better place. But I do think it's important that we start looking at this number and really other ways to help these business owners, especially in this climate. So I'm happy to take questions and hear the committee's thoughts. Thank you.
Are there any members of the committee with questions? Delegate Creasy.
Madam Chair, it's okay if I just would like to speak to the bill at the proper time.
Okay. No questions? Anybody in the audience who wants to speak in favor of the bill?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Greg Habib from Gentry Lock here on behalf of VASHUA, the Virginia Asian American Store Owners Association. VASHUA has 700 members. We own about 1,500 stores. We employ about 8,000 people. These are your neighborhood convenience stores. We provide jobs in communities. We provide food in food deserts. During COVID, we're the first. We were never closed. We stayed open to feed communities, provide gas, and provide jobs. As Delegate Subramanian said, this rate has not changed in 35 years. So we've gotten 5 cents on every dollar of the lottery proceeds, the same for 35 years. Over that time, the power of those dollars has fallen by about 60%. So that 5% is really worth about 2% 35 years ago. The lottery will tell you that the amount of proceeds paid to stores has gone up over that time. That's true. On a gross level, it's gone up significantly. But on a per store level, it has not gone up nearly the rate of inflation. And of course, as you all know, in addition to top line inflation, we hear about minimum wage increases, insurance increases, tax increases, other labor costs. Plus, during that same time, the lottery has instituted an online lottery, which has taken a big chunk of our market. They've instituted lottery vending machines, which almost every retailer in Virginia is eligible for, except mom and pop convenience stores, again, taking a large part of our market. So we are acting as the state's agent. We are at the front selling the product for the state to generate the revenue for the state, yet we're not making enough money really to stay in business and do it. Obviously, there's a fiscal impact. The fiscal impact statement indicates $25 million. That's a 1% increase. The math is the math. If you act favorably on this bill, obviously Chairman Knight will have it come upstairs to him and we'll have the same conversation. But the reality is, with everything going on in the economy, we're at the front of the problems. We need some relief. We've talked about skill games. We've talked about ABC issues. We've talked about lottery. We need something so these businesses can stay in business. And we appreciate Delegate Subramanian starting this conversation. Thank you all.
Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to speak in against the bill as opposed to it? All right. Delegate Knight.
I see Kelly G. out there, Director of the Lottery. Could I get you to come up and ask you a couple of questions, please? I hear the compelling argument that the delegate makes there and everything, but I'm kind of loath to dictate within code what goes on, which I kind of see as a business transaction. And, we do know that the lottery tickets, are a driver, because I'm sure that the convenience stores, when the Mega Millions and everything gets up, it drives more people in there to buy lottery tickets, and maybe they'll buy Pepsi Cola at the same time or something like that. Or we've heard that in the past when they wanted to put in the lottery system. But what are your thoughts on the numbers that were mentioned by Mr. Habib and everything? And is there any, I know it's going to take a hit to the budget and we're going to look at to it if it acts favorably and comes up there, but has there been any internal discussion about raising the compensation you give them?
Yes, sir. So, Madam Chair, I'm Kelly G., Executive Director of the Virginia Lottery. Correct, we are at 5% sales commission rate. So that is 5% on total retail sales. This year we are expected to sell $2.5 billion in total retail sales. So to increase the base commission rate by 1% is $25 million that would be redirected to retail commission away from our profit, which is constitutionally dedicated to K-12 education. In 2020, there was, from budget language, creating a work group to look at retail compensation. It was then under Director Hall, but I was at the lottery, so I was involved in the conversations to kind of study where are we at compared to our neighboring states. I brought our letter from that, anticipating a question. So among adjoining jurisdictions, Kentucky and D.C. provide 5% base commission rate. Maryland is at 5.5%. Tennessee is at 6.5%. So,
any other questions from the committee? Delegate Kriesik.
I'm sorry, I thought you were going to ask for any final words, but.
Right, I thought you wanted to speak to the bill.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to say, and hold on, Madam Chair.
Delegate Torian has a question.
And my question is, Madam Chair, based upon the numbers that you just shared with us from neighboring states, how did you arrive at the increase of 1%?
Sure. I've got Maryland at 5.5%, North Carolina at 7%, Tennessee at 6.5%, West Virginia at 7%. 6 seem fair, but we're open to negotiation if you'd like.
I'm just curious as to how you arrived at the increase of 1%.
The average, I'm told, is 5.92% of neighboring states, so we're rounding up a little bit.
Thank you, Delegate Torian. Delegate Kriesik, you wish to speak to the bill?
Speaking to the bill, Madam Chair. I think it's very commendable what you're doing, Delegate. I like the idea of finding another way outside of the illegal skill games, grade machines are out there, to give these C-stores and 7-Elevens and the little stores that are out there that are having that sell lottery tickets, some other kind of legal funds, and but I do defer to the expertise of the lottery, who do a great job and have been looking into this. So, but I'm going to vote no on this. But I would like you to spend some time with lottery and try to, maybe with the next time they go through this review process, they can involve us a little bit more, because it has been a number of years. You bring something up that I have never heard before. So I want to thank you for doing that. But I really think that we need to figure out a way to help those stores in some capacity outside of the illegal gaming market. Thank you.
All right, so the committee acts on motion. If there's no others to speak to the bill.
I move to gently lay the bill on the table.
All right, the motion is to gently lay the bill on the table. It's non-debatable. But I agree with the comments just made by Delegate Kresick. As far as working through this a little bit further, because I agree, first time I've ever heard it too, so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So we'll cast a vote. And the bill will gently lay on the table on a 5-2 vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Chairman Leftwich.
Thank you, Chairman Robinson. House Bill 1979. Okay, so with the advent of some of our hard seltzers and products that we would normally associate with non-alcoholic drinks, we're seeing a lot of the alcoholic beverages being placed in the same proximity as the non-alcoholic beverages. And this bill simply states that those hard seltzers and alcoholic beverages associated with names we would normally associate with non-alcoholic beverages need to be clearly displayed and have appropriate signage on that, so there's no consumer confusion as to what's alcoholic and what's non-alcoholic. That's pretty much the bill in a nutshell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Any questions for the chairman on this bill? So this is the placement bill.
Yes. Yeah, they some of these bills seem to get a name attached to them, yes, as opposed to the slotting bill, which
Correct.
would be treated differently, I think.
And
All right. Any questions from the committee members?
Madam Chair, this is I have a just a friendly amendment, and I've got this. That's down.
I've been apprised of the amendment. I view it as a friendly amendment.
All right. Ashley, do you want to report the amendment?
Yes, Madam Chair. On line 26, after beverage, insert available only to persons who are 21 years of age or older.
I'll move the amendment.
All right. So that amendment, we've had motion on it and a second. All those in favor of the amendment say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed?
Okay, Madam Chair, there are also some amendments, I believe, that Legislative Services has that would help the bill mirror what's already passed through the Senate. You don't have them? Okay. Okay, all right.
Okay. So we'll conform.
I'll
then.
walk that back a little bit. We'll wait for it to get at the Senate and let them do their thing.
Chairman's not to know.
Whatever you'd say, Mr. Chairman. Okay. Any questions? Anybody in the audience wants to speak in favor of the bill?
Good afternoon, Madam Chairman and members of the subcommittee. Steve Rossi with the Family Foundation, and we support the effort. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in favor of the bill?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Ken Hutchison on behalf of Anheuser-Busch. Appreciate the patrons' introduction of the bill. We support the bill. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Phil Boykin with the Virginia Beer Wholesalers Association. We want to thank Chairman Leftwich for putting in the bill, and we strongly support the measure.
Madam Chair, Stan Trediak with Molson Coors Beverage Company. We also support the
the legislation. Thank you.
Great.
Mr. Chairman, Brett Vassy, Virginia Craft Brewers Guild. We were part of the working group, and we support the bill.
All right, is there anyone in the audience who is not in favor or opposed to this bill?
Good morning, or good afternoon, Madam Chair. Melissa Aslin with the Virginia Food Industry Association. We're not opposed to the whole bill. We, of course, support the goals of Chairman Lefwich of making sure children and people who are not intending to purchase alcoholic beverages are not confused. So I represent grocery retailers here in the Commonwealth, and we absolutely support making sure products are placed appropriately and not next to products that have a similar alcoholic and non-alcoholic counterpart. However, some of my members are still concerned with some of the implications and the practice of the signage requirement. Specifically, we know that sometimes there are a lot of signs in stores, and some folks don't necessarily read the signs. We believe that there are already very strong registered checks in place that will make sure and catch anyone who is under 21 accidentally purchasing a product. And again, we are supportive of making sure things are not placed next to each other. So thank you so much.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Greg Kabee from Gentry Lock here on behalf of Oshawa. I'm not speaking against the bill. I just want to point out this is another example of putting burdens and mandates on small store owners, making life more difficult and more expensive. All the more reason we need to find additional revenue sources to help these mom and pop businesses stay in business. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, to that comment, I would like to point out, Phil Boykin with the Virginia Beer Wholesalers Association. In the vast majority of the cases, those signs are either put up and provided by Virginia Beer distributors. So his other members may choose to move them after we put them up, but the vast majority of the times those signs are provided by the distributors. So thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. All right, so everyone has made comment that wants to make comment to this bill. We act on motion.
Move to report.
As amended.
And does this need to go to appropriations, sir? It does not, correct? It does.
Does not.
It does not. All right. So, members of the committee, it's been moved and seconded to report as amended. Mr. Chairman, your bill passes out on an 8-0 vote. Thank you. Delegate Kriesik, it's my understanding that this bill needs to be a little work done on House Bill 2001, and I'd like to entertain a motion to pass by for the day.
So moved.
All right. We do not have to vote on that, right? Okay. That's a voice vote? All right, all those in favor to pass by 2001 for the day, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Delegate Kriesik, you want to present 1997?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, Delegate Torian said that's the year I was born. I wish. That was a good year, though. The 1997 requires the operators of the historical horse racing machines to, hold on a second. So it requires these machines to basically have the same number of, well, let me just tell you what current law does. Right now, current law requires that 2,000 of the HHR machines. These are the ones you see in the Rosies and at Colonial Downs. And we have, the General Assembly has approved 5,000, and they're around, and they'll be here to testify on it. I think they have 2,400 or 600 or something like that are out in Rosie's. So they still have a few thousand to go to get to the 5,000. But what we did is we have just required 2,000 of Colonial Downs 5,000 to follow the racing, 1 day of racing to 100 machine ratio. And what this will do is extend it to all the rest of the machines. So it's just simply get all the machines under the ratio. We've worked hard with all the stakeholders, the Virginia Racing Commission. Everybody seems to be supportive of it, and we've put in some the language. And do I have an amendment? I do have. We have an amendment in nature of substitute, which we need to bring forward.
Madam Chair,
Ashley?
that substitute should be online now.
Okay, you want to explain what it does?
So what the substitute does is they were concerned that the Virginia Racing Commission would not have the discretion to alter the number of live racing days if it's some force beyond their control, and so that's like a force majeure we do, in contract law, and so that's in there. It also adds a delayed enactment clause to allow the VRC time to sync up their racing calendar. And then the last part, and I believe this comes from Churchill Downs, is to make sure that that they use that the ratio is based on the previous year's number of machines. So you wouldn't have a situation where the track's about to, they're about to have the 30 days or 40 days or however many days of racing, and all of a sudden 100 more machines go online like a week before, even 2 months before, and then they'd have to alter. So this gives them plenty of time and that on-ramp to make that happen. And I think we've got peace in the valley. Everybody's supportive, from Churchill Downs to the Equine Alliance folks in the Virginia Racing Commission. And they're here to testify if you need them.
Okay. We're done. Did you guys find it online? The substitute?
Yeah, it's online. It is. I didn't find it.
Okay. Was that a motion?
Yeah, second.
All right. So it's been moved and seconded to accept the substitute. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. So, any questions from members of the committee on Delegate Creasy's bill? All right. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak in favor of this bill?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. My name is John Hannum. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Equine Alliance. We represent all the racing and breeding interests in the state. We support the bill. As you all remember, when the HHR machines were passed in 2018, that was to bring racing back into the state, and it's done that and then some. It's been enormously successful. We're excited about working with our new partners at Churchill Downs. They have big plans ahead, and we're very excited about the state of racing, and we appreciate the General Assembly's support, and we enthusiastically support the delegates' bill. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Miles Laurie on behalf of Churchill Downs. Really appreciate Delegate Creasy's work on this. We are very, very supportive of the bill. We are supportive of racing in Virginia, and Churchill Downs is looking to get racing even to the next higher level. Linking the HHR machines with that will allow us to do it. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. My name is David Lermont. I'm the Executive Secretary of the Virginia Racing Commission. We truly appreciate the amendment that was put forth by Delegate Creasy to House Bill 1997. The Commission's main concern was that we were going to not have the ability to alter the number of race days for things such as extreme weather events, bad track condition. You could even have an outbreak of herpes, equine herpes on the backside, which would, in essence, shut the track down for a number of days. Mr. Creasy's amendment has addressed all those concerns, and again, we were very thankful, and we fully support the amendments.
Thank you.
I want to ask Creasy a question.
Delegate Knight has a question for Delegate Creasy.
Delegate Creasy, I may have missed it, but you've got a delayed enactment clause in here.
Yes, it's at the very end.
24?
Yeah.
Could you address that?
I'm sorry. Thank you, and I'm glad you didn't ask me about the equine herpes. Madam Chair, line 150, the very last line, has the delayed enactment says that the provisions of this act shall become effective on July 1, 2024. And I do want to make this clear. This bill is really to help the the equine industry and our racing, our glorious history, and I look forward to growing that industry, and I'm very happy that Churchill Downs is coming, and hopefully we will see lots of potential of growth, and so anything I can do to help, and they know that they've got an ally with me here. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Is there anyone in the audience who has, is opposed to this bill? All right.
Madam Chair,
Delegate Torian.
I move to report.
I need a second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and to report the substitute. We're ready. And Delegate Kriesik, your bill passes out on an 8-0 vote.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think I'm the last one on the docket. I have 2 bills. I am going to move down front and turn the chair over to Delegate Knight.
The analyst requested that in appropriate reports. Okay, Delegate Robinson, which bill would you like to hear first?
Let's do 1753 first.
Okay.
So 1753, I first like to ask that the committee adopt the substitute.
Could you explain the substitute to us first, Ashley?
Well, when we first submitted the bill, we submitted the wrong version of the bill. So we didn't, we didn't submit the most recent. And then there were some minor technical corrections also made. The substitute will put this in the posture of the bill as it passed out of the Senate unanimously. And that's what the substitute does.
Do I have a motion on substitute? Okay. Substitutes before us. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay. The bill of substitutes before us. Delegate Robinson.
So everyone goes to the airport and you see these lounges in the airport, airline lounges. And so what 1753 will do, it's just a narrow expansion of the eligible institutions for a mixed beverage carrier license at the airport passenger lounges. And it's two lounges we're adding at the present time under this bill. One's at Dulles, and the other will be at Reagan. One is for will be run by American Express. The other one is going to be run by Capital One. As just many of you and your constituents have visited passenger lounges, and most of these lounges are associated and operated by the airlines. However, financial service industry is a growing player in the space at the airports. 2 major financial institutes will open these 2 lounges. The spaces will generate revenue for the airport and provide exciting new amenities for Virginia residents and their visitors. The bill does 2 things. It adds a definition of passenger lounge, and it authorizes financial institutions, their subsidiaries, or their contracted lounge operator partners approved by the airport authority to obtain the mixed beverage carrier license that is currently limited to airlines. The lounge definition is designed to highlight the restricted access of these lounges and differentiate them from restaurants or other public venues at the airports. The bill has an emergency clause because the lounges are actually scheduled to open in the first half of 2023. In lieu of testimony, I'll reference the bill is supported by the banking industry and the MWAA. It was vetted with ABC, the wholesalers, the airlines, the restaurant industry, and I'm not aware of any opposition to the bill. Thank you for the consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions or call a friend.
Any questions from the committee? Okay. Anyone here to speak in favor of the bill? Mr. Albo.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Dave Albo representing Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority. They support the bill, and if you have any questions, specifically Mr. Cooper from MWA is here.
Okay. Anyone else to support the bill? Ms. Kerr.
I hate to come up here. Ann Lee Kerr on behalf of American Express. We are one of the financial institutions that asked to have this bill, so we appreciate it. Delegate Robinson.
Anyone else in favor? Is anyone opposed? Okay, committee?
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to report House Bill 1753 as a substituted. Please cast your vote. And do you want me to vote for her or let Jay vote?
I'm a yes.
Okay. Viva Voca, she's a yes. Okay, everyone voted, and House Bill 1753 as substituted reports with a substitute 8-0. Delegate Robinson, your next bill.
Committee. All right, my next bill is House Bill 2258. And 2258 is a bill that will establish the Virginia Beer Distribution Company, a POS system giving all breweries limited self-distribution through the VBDC. The Virginia Beer Distribution Company will be operated by the Virginia Department of Agriculture, VDACS, and under the proposed distribution company, all breweries will have an opportunity to self-distribute up to 500 barrels of beer per year through the VBDC. An advisory board of directors will be created to help advise. The board will develop a transaction fee schedule that may include incentives for beer containing Virginia-grown ingredients. Breweries with distribution contacts, after offering the right of first refusal to their existing distributors, should be able to utilize the Virginia Beer Distribution Company to self-distribute beer in Virginia, ABC licensed festivals and events, pending board developing the guidelines. Breweries will no longer be able to form a spouse-owned distribution business. All license operations prior to 1/1/24 will be grandfathered. This bill has been worked on for several months. People have been meeting. VDAX has been involved. ABC has been involved. The beer folks, the wine folks. We have something similar already set up in the Commonwealth that does this for wine. And so you will notice there is a budget amendment, and that, the bill will have to go to appropriations. But I have folks that can speak more in depth to any questions any of you may have. But it took a lot of arm twisting and cooperation from all these folks, and I want to commend every single one of them for their hard work on this, to make this happen.
Okay. Anyone here speak in favor of this bill? Mr. Vassy.
Mr. Chairman, Brett Vassy, Virginia Craft Brewers Guild. I want to thank the patron. She's being modest. We started 18 months ago with a bill last session to create the working group. We finished, and no one thought it was possible that the wholesalers, the manufacturers, the agencies, we would all come together and find a way to make this happen. And we did. And it was because of the delegates' perseverance and sometimes threats, but nevertheless, it worked. We all found an agreement that we can live with. And Virginia's 314 breweries, this is a huge opportunity. This will be one of the most important bills you pass to keep that industry growing. By the way, we're the #1 craft beer industry in the southern states today. That is because of decisions you've made to have pragmatic growth and real opportunities. And I want to thank our partners in the wholesale industry for coming together with us, and the Wineries Association for working with us to make sure that this is in the right posture. Mr. Chairman, I have the chair of the Virginia Craft Brewers Guild, Janelle Zerkschmied. She is with Dirt Farm Brewing, and I'd like to ask if you could indulge her for a few minutes. This is something that will directly affect her brewery.
Okay. Just tell her don't talk herself out of her chairman's bill.
Good afternoon, Chairman and committee members. I'm Janelle Zerschmied, owner of Dirt Farm Brewing, located in Loudoun County, tucked in the Blue Ridge Mountains outside of a rural village called Bluemont. Our brewery opened in 2015 as an extension of our family's produce farm and winery. Dirt Farm takes pride in small batch brewing utilizing farm products. But to date, our sole revenue stream is having folks visit our tap room. This business model comes with risks. As a rural business, we are very weather dependent. I'm going to talk briefly about what VWDC did for our winery and what opportunities VBDC can provide for our brewery. In 2007, VWDC was implemented through the Department of Ag to help promote Virginia wine. Our winery, Bluemont Vineyard, has been privileged to utilize this platform to sell our products direct, as well as the ABC compliance needed to participate in festivals, farmers markets, and many community events. Without a distributor, breweries are severely restricted under current law. House Bill 2558 would provide the same opportunities for our brewery. VWDC contributed to the significant growth of our winery, further planting and expansion into a cidery. As a result, our Henway Hard Cider opened in 2019. We now have 50 acres in vine, 100 acres in apple orchard, and to use and manufacture our wine and cider. We have recently purchased a silo and look forward to expanding our grain program in the near future. The ability to self-distribute would allow Dirt Farm to grow, expand into markets otherwise filled with larger production breweries, further support the promote of our region and Loudon's brand, have a direct relationship with our restaurant and retail partners to maintain our sense of place. I ask that you please support the bill, not just for my family business, but for the opportunities of all Virginia's independent breweries.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else briefly want to speak to the bill?
Mr. Chairman, I do want to give thanks to Delegate Robinson for introducing the study. The Virginia Beer Wholesalers, Phil Boykin, Virginia Beer Wholesalers, we've been open to this since the McAuliffe administration and having the conversation. We're glad that the Guild finally came to the table to have the conversation, and thank everyone who's been part of this. It has been challenging, but I think we've reached a good deal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Parker Slabaugh, the Governor's Office. I'll just echo the words of the Chairwoman. Very appreciative of all the stakeholders coming together to work on this. We support the bill and appreciate the study group that took place this summer. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else speak in favor of the bill? Mr. Frederick? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good to see you again. And apologize to you and to Delegate Torian for hearing this twice in the last week. But yeah, I appreciate the efforts of Delegate Robinson and all the stakeholders that have put this together. As a now brewery owner, recovering politician, I can tell you that this bill is extremely significant to our industry. The distributors, I think it gives them the option to have first right of refusal to be able to distribute beer if they don't want to. It gives breweries the ability to do it themselves up to, I guess, 500 barrels. And don't want to talk this bill to death, so I'll just say that strongly support it. And hope you all will as well.
Thank you. Is anyone here in opposition to this bill? Okay. Ashley, is this this is just a straight bill? There's no amendments or substitutes to it?
There's a substitute.
I don't see one.
Oh, there is an amendment, right? On the last page.
Mr. Chair, yes, there is a substitute. It is now posted online.
Okay. So, do I have a motion on a substitute?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Substitutes before us. Is anything else you need to say?
I don't believe so. I think, you've heard from all the parties who've worked really, really hard. We started this last year with the study bill. And again, like was stated, no one thought this could happen and that minds would not meet, but they have. So I'd really like the support of House Bill 2258.
Okay. And the proper motion, if so desired, would be report the substitute and refer to appropriations.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I move to report the substitute and refer to appropriations.
Okay. Well, cast your vote, please. Okay, and the bill reports on a vote of 8-0. And Delegate Robinson, you have your gavel back.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So that concludes our business for Subcommittee 3, and we will reconvene next week for this sub, and we'll take up gambling. Thank you for everyone's participation. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Second. We are adjourned.